Africa Day, Africa.
Wow, wow, wow. I am clapping hands and dancing here on my chair. I can't remember the last time that we've seen a performance like this. So wherever you are joining us from today, let's appreciate the Takadu musical and clap hands for them wherever you are. They cannot hear you, but we can feel the spirit. Well done. It was absolutely stunning, stunning, stunning. We're performing to you in Setswana, one of our very many languages on the African continent. So please encourage that. We love seeing our heritage and our languages out there. Re a leboga the Takadu musical group from Soweto. We are going to begin today's proceedings. So warm greetings to all of you, fellow Africans. Melang, bonjour tout le monde, bom dia todos, habari karibu sana, and a warm welcome to all of you to our Africa Day celebration 2021. This is indeed a celebration. That's why we started with the song and dance, because it was back in 1963, almost 58 years ago, on the 25th of May, that the African Union was founded. Many of you are familiar with Africa's history, but it was largely influenced by the Berlin Conference in 1885, and it resulted in the borders that you see today, this segregation and separation that became almost a norm for the entire continent for the longest time. But back in 1963, 58 years ago, our founding fathers of the AU decided to make a change and take some steps towards fighting against colonialism, fighting against apartheid, and move Africa back to a place of unity and prosperity. So for 58 years, we have been at it. We have been building, and now there is an agenda and blueprint for us. So if you're not familiar with Agenda 2063, I encourage you to Google it today. But it sees us going to the place where Africa becomes the Africa that we want, driven by its own citizens, me and you, to manifest an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. We are all part of this journey, so don't feel like you are a spectator. You, me, and everyone who's joining us from the social media platforms today, we are all part of the change. We will realize the Africa that we want and live it day by day in all our spaces. But to get there, we have to walk the talk, right? It's not just about talking about it, we have to walk the talk. This year's Africa Day theme for 2021 is the year of arts, culture, and heritage. We have fulfilled this vision by preparing a mind-blowing session for you today to celebrate exactly this. We have youth present here today from all parts of our continent, and they are here to showcase the wonderful works they are doing in arts, culture, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So please join us in this display of talent and make a pledge to yourself to be part of the change. Like I said, you're not a spectator, you're very much part of this journey. My question to you, as you watch the proceedings today, when you walk out of this call, make a commitment to yourself. Are you going to play your part and contribute towards the positive change in this continent? No one else can do it for you but yourself. No one else can do it for us but ourselves. So let us officially begin the 2021 proceedings. Let me first welcome all the officials from the African Union. We do have the commissioner here with us today. I welcome the leadership from African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. Their CEO is here with us today. We welcome the leadership from our partners. This event is brought to you from NEPAD, the Southern African Youth Forum, and the Center for African Philanthropy and Social Investment at the Wits Business School in Johannesburg. So with all the protocol observed, let me welcome our guests, all our speakers, and our first speaker in particular is Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki. Dr. Mayaki is the current CEO of the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. So Dr. Mayaki, karibu sana. Welcome to you. You have our attention. And thank you for the chats to everyone. We are seeing you. A warm welcome to all of you. Dr. Mayaki, the floor is yours. Yes.
Chair? Yes, I had indicated to you on the side that Dr. Mayaki is just busy on an urgent call, and he had requested that we give him just a few minutes. I thank you.
No problem. Thank you for that. So in that case, let us welcome our next speaker, which is Professor Sarah Anyang Ajwa. She is the current Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology at the African Union. So Professor Sarah, karibu sana, you have our full attention. Okay, it looks like Professor Sarah is not available as yet. So let me come back to this when both the speakers are available. We'll move on to the exhibition itself. Like I said, we have brought you various youth from different parts of our continent, and they all play in various spaces, arts, culture, and heritage, and some are from innovation and entrepreneurship. So each of them are going to showcase to you what they're doing in any of those aspects, which is part of the 2021 theme. So I'll welcome our first speaker, which is Nandi Jakuja she's an art liaison and a studio coordinator at the Art Gazette in South Africa. So Nandi, karibu sana, you have our full attention.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me. My name is Nandi Jakuja, and I am an anthropologist turned studio coordinator here in Cape Town at Art Gazette. Art Gazette is a curated catalogue of unique contemporary artworks, providing creative environments for a range of public and private spaces. We are unique in supporting artists by providing them with a curated online platform while buying their work upfront and in series for its inventory. Our unique acquisition and pricing model ensures that we do not compete with commercial galleries while developing a sustainable formula for both the artist and Art Gazette. So today I'll be talking about navigating the contemporary African art space. By doing so, we have to start at the beginning, and the beginning is recent discoveries in the southern tip of Africa provide remarkable evidence of the earliest strengths of human creativity. Ochre plaques, while engraved designs made some 70,000 years ago, represent some of humankind's earliest attempts at visual expression. Because many tradition-based African artifacts serve a specific function, Westerners sometimes have not regarded them as art. We need to recognize, however, that the concept of art for art's sake is relatively recent invention of the Western world. Prior to the Renaissance, most art traditions around the world were considered functional as well as aesthetic. The objects African artists create, while useful, also embody aesthetic preferences and may be admired for their form and composition. African aesthetics generally have an ethical or religious basis. An artwork considered beautiful is often believed to be good, in the sense that it exemplifies and upholds moral values. The fact that in many societies, the world The word for beautiful and good are usually the same, when this suggests a strong correspondence between these two ideas. The ability of an artifact to work effectively, whether that means connecting with the spiritual realm or imparting a lesson, may also be a standard for determining the beauty of an artifact. Although the Western world aesthetics is often equated with beauty, artists in some African cultures create works that are not intended to be beautiful. Such works are deliberately horrific in order to convey the fearsome powers and thereby elicit a strong reaction in the viewer. Now, this brings me to the reception of African art in the West. Attitudes about African art were determined by preconceived ideas about race, and therefore creations were not categorized as art in Euro-American sense. Thankfully, fast forward to today, the appreciation of African art in the Western world has had an enormous impact, not only on the development of modern art, but also the way in which African art is presented in a Western setting. But too often, African creators are limited by how they appeal to the desires of their audience. These creatives are required to conform to an expected narrative in order to exhibit their work successfully, which often results in whitewashing of this work and subsequent erasure of the important histories which led to its creation in the first place. So how can we support African artists? The first step is to seek out collections that feature these artists, finding books about them and following these artists on social media. Donate to organizations that support African artists and educate yourself about the amazing work that these artists do and that have made historically. I personally support African artists by making space for them. By making space, I mean letting go of the notions that all artists have to be activists. We need to make space for alternative African artists, artists whose works speak on joy, love, aspirations, luxury, intimacy, queerness, and everything that's in between. There is more to our stories than rage and pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nandi. Siyabonga, Nkosi. So I like what you've called out to our fellow Africans, that there is something that we can do to change the incorrect narrative and the wrong influence that we have of the current art. So Nandi is asking all of you to seek out collections from African artists, donate, buy an African artist's work, and let them make a career out of this, our fellow artists, because we express our art in various ways. So thank you so much for that, Nandi, and we will come back to you as well. I believe our hosts, Dr. Mayaki and Prof. Sarah, are ready now to welcome the audience. So let me just go back to the introductions and welcome Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, who is the current CEO of the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. So Dr. Mayaki is a host to the session, and we will now turn our attention to him. Karibu sana, Dr. Mayaki. Dr. Mayaki, we are ready for you. Okay. We also have Professor Sarah Anyang from the African Union. She is the current Commissioner for Human Resources Technology at the AU. Professor Sarah is joining us today to also celebrate Africa Day. So Prof. Sarah, let me check if you are ready.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I like your turban.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, the CEO of AODA NEPAD, distinguished honorable speakers, dear youth, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I bring you warm greetings from the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa on this auspicious day as we commemorate African Day, which is going to be tomorrow, on behalf of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency, Dr. Musa Faki Mahamat. I want to start with a quotation by the former president of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki. I am an African. I am born of the people of the continent of Africa. Whatever the setbacks of the moment, nothing can stop us. Whatever the difficulties, Africa shall be at peace. However improbable it may sound to the skeptics, Africa will prosper. I repeat these words today because they are deeply resonant. I am proudly African. I am proud to be an African. I am a product of the same soil that he spoke of and of the difficulties he referred to, and I am filled just as much conviction that nothing can stop us in achieving Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. The topic today in this Auda Nepat African Day celebration, building the Africa we want with the youth through arts, culture, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship is very, very pertinent, considering our demographic dividend that is made 70% of Africans. Dear youths, dynamic youths, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 58 years ago in 1963, Africa made history with the foundation of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the precursor to what is known today as the African Union. The main objectives of the Organization of African Unity was, one, to rid the continent of the vestiges of colonialism, two, to promote unity and solidarity among African countries, three, to coordinate and intensify cooperation for development, and four, to safeguard the sovereignty and integrity of member states. Because of the process of development, and because that process of development is continuous and requires everyone to recommit every year, on the 25th of May, we celebrate the establishment of the African Union, or of the Organization of African Unity. As we continue to pursue the realization of our development agenda, we are guided by the African Union theme each year. This year, the theme is arts, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want. This theme calls for an African cultural renaissance that is preeminent and that inculcates the spirit of Pan-Africanism. It reminds us that arts, culture, and heritage are critical to achieving the Africa we want. It is only in tapping into Africa's rich heritage that we can ensure the creative arts take their rightful position as a major contributor to our continent's growth and transformation. Indeed, as the theme of the Auda Nepat African Day celebration states, arts, culture, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship can build the Africa we want. And that is why the Specialized Technical Committee on Youth, Sports, and Culture becomes very relevant this year in determining the role of sports and culture, as well as arts and heritage, in providing entrepreneurship, employment, engagement for our young population. So there is a strong requirement for investment in strengthening this sector, a sector that is well understood by our dynamic youth. Arts and culture are essential for building community, supporting development, nurturing health and well-being, and contributing to economic prosperity. Arts and culture becomes a way of life. Our culture is a way of life, a way of functioning, the essence of our people is found in our culture, the way we talk, the way we see. Our cuisine, our topography speaks of
Okay, we seem to have lost Prof. Sarah. We seem to have lost Prof. Sarah, but it's such a critical moment. So when you do come back, Sarah, please.
I'm back.
finish off.
It was an
Are you
internet
back?
connection, my sister.
Thank you. Please finish off.
Yes. So there's a strong, like I said, collectively, arts and culture and enable understanding of the past and a visioning of a shared, more equitable future. Ladies and gentlemen, young Africans are tapping into their unlimited creativity to create employment and generate revenue in sectors traditionally perceived as unstable employment options. From the film industry, theater, music, gaming, fashion, tourism, and even the blue economy to the literature landscapes, the creative economy is gradually gaining visibility and legitimacy as a sector that must be taken seriously and which at policy level, decisions must be made to invest in it, nurture, protect, and grow it. With this, if we take our arts and culture and I will take our heritage of even traditional medicine, we can create more jobs for the youth of Africa. Even with the COVID-19 pandemic, African youth have embraced digital media as lockdowns and restrictions on physical interactions took hold. Innovation has become a key for survival due to increased digitization, highlighting the nexus between technology and economic development. Significantly, as you all know, Africa is the youngest continent in the world, with youth making up 60% of the total population. This is why the youth are the torch bearers of the continent's development blueprint, Agenda 2063. Fully recognizing them as critical to development, Aspiration 6 of Agenda 2063 calls for an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potentials of its citizens, especially its women and youth. Therefore, their political vision must envisage co-creational spaces. I mean practicable, implementable, co-creational spaces for the youth of Africa. If we are to be intentional about supporting the youth, we need to have an approach which looks at policy interventions. Public and private sector investment, combined with arts and cultural assets, can support the growth of healthy communities and ensure the prosperity of the youth of Africa. It is only when we are able to consolidate on these as levers, then can we stop the continuous stream of youth dying in the Sahara and in the Mediterranean Sea, or seeking asylum in different countries under harsh conditions. So it is now a wake-up call for our leaders to walk the talk and not talk the talk. Walk the talk of implementation, creating co-creational spaces, bringing in the youth into leadership positions and encouraging them in the guise of mentorship and engaging them in the policies of our great continent and going down to our national mainstream. So as part of the African Union's efforts to build the Africa we want for our youth, walking the talk, in 2019, His Excellency Dr. Musa Faki Mahamat, the African Union Commission chairperson, launched the 1 Million by 2021 initiative, which creates direct opportunities for 1 million youth Africans in the areas of education, employment, entrepreneurship, and engagement, our 4 E's. And at the very core of this initiative are the principles of Pan-Africanism, strategic partnerships, and African-centric innovation and solutions co-created and driven by Africa's youth. Furthermore, the African Union identifies, promotes, and supports education sector youth-led innovations through the Innovating Education in Africa Expo. So we leverage on partnerships with organizations such as Trace TV and TikTok to ensure the solutions we propose as we strengthen the youth position in the creative economy, which are the ones that respond to youth priorities. Then we have the African Union Youth Volunteer Corps that also is giving employment to the youth of Africa and giving them the so-called experiences that workers normally ask them, do you have any job experience, etc. So how can our African arts, culture, heritage build the Africa we want through innovation for entrepreneurship? It is by creating co-creational spaces, financing their innovations and their creativity, either through the publication of creative works or sculpture or painting, etc. So the African Union looks forward to seeing how we can collectively, in the spirit of Ubuntu, put the arts, culture, and heritage front and center in the development conversation, because all hands need to be on deck in achieving a prosperous and integrated Africa. The road ahead is still long, but in looking at the determination, zeal, and creativity of our youth, I am rest assured that we are all in good hands and we will prosper only if the political will has a vision for sustainable development, capacitating the resources of the youth of Africa and giving them employment, entrepreneurship, and support to even have money to finance their innovations. So with this dynamic youth on board, thank you for listening to me, and I welcome our big brother, His Excellency, Dr. Mayaki, to the platform. I'm not taking your job, Mogotsi. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, Dr. Ibrahim will move on to you. Karibu sana.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I'm so pleased and honored at the same time to see my dear sister, Her Excellency Professor Sarah Anyang Agbo, and it is very difficult to say something intelligent after she has spoken.
Whoa.
So I will really try my best, but the elements and the principles that she raised are really the fundamentals of what this celebration should be about. And I thank you, Commissioner, thank you, dear sister, and thank you for your passion, your commitment, and the confidence you create in the youth and the confidence that you create in us. Thank you very much. Representatives of our partner organizations for this event, the Southern Africa Youth Forum and the Center on African Philanthropy and Social Investment located at Wits University. The African youths with whom we celebrate Africa Day and are going to speak to us today on how we are actively implementing solutions towards the continent's development in their respective domains. A warm welcome to all our distinguished guests and participants. Fellow Africans, ladies and gentlemen, this year, just like last year, same as last year, finds us celebrating Africa Day under the cloud of a COVID-19 pandemic that has forced us to readapt our ways of working and even our ways of celebrating. But it does not reduce our passion to celebrate. It therefore warms my heart that in spite of this and many of the hardships that face our continent, the youth still continue to show us how to be resilient by relentlessly pushing on and not only surviving, but thriving by using were ingenuity. So in my brief words of welcome to all of us gathered here to virtually celebrate Africa Day, I would like to convey the following 4 messages. And the first one is that the African Union theme for this year, arts, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want, reminds us that we cannot develop our continent without embracing that which makes us who we are, our identity. We generally, evidently, put a lot of emphasis on GDP growth. We put a lot of emphasis on national income. We put a lot of emphasis on macroeconomic indicators. But fundamentally, development has an undeniable cultural dimension. And this is the moment really that all of us should be reminded of it. Our identity as Africans is rooted and expressed in our unique arts, culture, and heritage. Therefore, as I was saying, our definition of development should not be about catching with those who have different values from us, but rather let us focus on our development through also our African arts, culture, and heritage, as that is what allows us to coherently define who we are and position us on the global scene in an intelligent manner. My second message is that Africa Day is a time for reflecting on who we are, on enterprising, innovative, and resilient people. But at the same time, we are faced with high unemployment rates. It must be pointed out that while Africa is creating jobs, the scenario is much more complicated than meets the eye. Evidently, youth unemployment has been below world averages, with the progress made early at the turn of the century, now interrupted by the COVID-19 health and economic crisis. And currently, it's important to realize that more than 80% of workers in Africa earn their livelihoods in the informal sector, in a setting where high informality is met with almost no or minimal social protection. But I prefer to the term informality, the term popular economy, because the operators, the economic operators and social operators in these informal sectors have an energy and a capacity to innovate which is extremely strong. Let us not forget that Microsoft was an informal enterprise when Bill Gates started to construct it. So informality, it does not equal negativity. We should be very well aware of this dimension. Conversely, this scenario demonstrates the importance for job creation, evidently, and most importantly, through investing in entrepreneurship as well, in order for us to get back on the path of economic stability and balanced, inclusive economic growth. When you have a continent where 75% of the population is under 30, and you add to these high levels of inequality, you create a situation where governance systems need to be adapted. And fighting inequality becomes synonymous to empowering the youth. My third message is that the commemoration of Africa Day is an opportune reminder to continue to learn from lessons of the past, build on current progresses, and strategically exploit all possible opportunities available. Learning from the past and looking to the future means that we embark on retrospection of where we have come from as a continent, acknowledge the challenges that we still face, in the development of our continent, and then work towards the future in building the Africa we want. Lastly, a wise man said back in 1963 that the forces that unite us are intrinsic and greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart. Kwame Nkrumah had a strong vision for the unity of Africa and the potential that real integration has for the continent. One of the main obstacles to our development is the fragmentation in 55 countries. And this is where we need to be extremely supportive and honors, all of us, of the African Union values, because it helps us combat this obstacle of fragmentation. We need to work in solidarity in promoting regional integration and economic growth, even as Africa emerges from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm sure that we will emerge stronger. Hence, even as we celebrate the accomplishments of the young Africans that are with us at this event today, let us think also of ways in which these accomplishments can be used across the different regions of Africa in promoting integration. And I would like to end by reiterating the last sentence of Professor Sarah Agbor, who was saying, it is fundamentally a question of political determination in order to capacitate and empower our youth. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mayaki and Prof. Sarah as well. I actually want to combine and make a sentence out of what both of you said, that we all have a role to play, walk the talk and create co-creational spaces such as this webinar that we're having today, and position us as Africans on the global stage in an intelligent manner. So that onus is on all of you today. Position us on the global stage in a very intelligent manner. I'm reminded of my high school teacher who told me what culture means. He said, culture is how we do things around here. So that's a very fitting definition for us to pursue. How do we do things around here in Africa? And I'm pleased to tell you that all the speakers that are coming forth in the program are going to tell you how we do things around here culturally, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So thank you very much to both of you. Let us move on to the youth. We had started with Nandi, who spoke about the art space and how we can contribute to that. So I'll welcome a poet, Relebohile from Lesotho, who's going to give us a short poem to welcome the proceedings on the cultural aspect. So Relebohile, karibu sana, the floor is yours, my dear. Oh, my apologies. It's Mali, a poem from Sadia Toure. She's a blogger and a writer. So she's going to present to us a short poem in English. And we do have French interpretation for our French speakers. So Sadia Toure, karibu sana, the floor is yours, Sadia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I will be presenting a poem that I wrote specially for this day. So I called it Africa, My Beautiful Africa. You're still magnificent, as much as the Asian world, as much as Europe or America. You are the cradle where man uttered his first cries as a child, sheltering the eldest sons of the world. You are a land where humanity became fruitful, a land of great nations, a land where one of the most beautiful civilizations shown. You were splendid, my beautiful Africa, with pharaonic cultural influence, whose traces are engraved in the tarikhs. And in all historical collections, your empires were powerful. Your kingdoms were great. Your princes were wealthy. Your commerce was flourishing. Africa, tear up the manuscripts, where they crunched with your hands on your girdle, where you are portrayed like the plague, where your sons ate each other, where you fall into the trap at the mercy of the vulture who besets you, where you are always the one who begs for a miserable offering, where you are a big sick body, still in a terrible mess, because you are still beautiful, Africa, my beautiful Africa, as much as the Asian world, as much as Europe or America, find the old parchment where history is writing with your hands, where you shape your regent's destiny, where you revive your extinguished chandelier. You are still beautiful, Africa, my beautiful Africa, as much as the Asian world, as much as Europe or America. Speak to your daughters and sons, Africa. Your sons must realize that looking at the past is necessary to redefine the present and the future, and that no nation develops without knowing where it comes from. You are still beautiful, Africa, my beautiful Africa, as much as the Asian world, as much as Europe or America. Not that you have the raw minerals, and therefore you will not be last. Not that you have bright brains who will write your new destiny. Not that you have a beautiful youth, what a promise, a wealth. Not that your children are resilient to meet and face challenges. Not that your daughters are good human capital to build you and make you one of the most invited lands. Africa, my beautiful Africa, you are and you will remain beautiful, as much as the Asian world, as much as Europe or America, as much as all the wonders never before discovered. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What do they say in French? Merci beaucoup. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for that lovely poem, Sadia. So we'll now welcome our next speaker, who is coming from Nigeria. His name is Nebo Obinna Collins, and he is the executive director for the New Century Initiative and the founder of CELPH Consulting Group in Nigeria. So he's going to talk briefly to us about how to mobilize the youth for social development. So Nebo, the floor is yours. Most welcome, my brother. Do we have Nebo's? We cannot hear. If we can just ask the technical team to assist, we can see Nebo, but we cannot hear. Are you there now, Nebo? Okay. All right, I think to just save on the program, Nebo, we will come back to you. We just need to sort out the sound issues there. So I'll move on to, is he there? Nebo, you can try switching off your video. That might help with the sound. Okay, let's try. Okay, so unfortunately, technology is not always our friend, but of course we will navigate this and come back to Nebo as soon as his sound is functional. So I'll welcome our next speaker, who is Jessica Mshama from Tanzania. And she is an entrepreneur on the African continent. She's speaking from Asante Digital Schools. So Jessica, I'm sure you understand what I mean by karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you all. Thank you for this great opportunity. Your Excellency, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, Your Excellency, Dr. Sarah, and all distinguished guests and my fellow youth all around Africa. My name's Jessica Julius Mshama, 25 years old, coming from Tanzania. And I'm the director of Asante Digital Schools. And today, I present to you a presentation on succeeding as a youth entrepreneur in Africa. To begin with, I would like to share with you how I started my journey as the director of Asante Digital Schools and what was the mission and vision behind it all. Starting a business and as an entrepreneur in Africa, we all know that we have to have one goal to make an impact. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Jessica. Please go ahead. We hear you loud and clear.
As a young entrepreneur in Africa, we all know that we have an obligation to create innovative businesses, to create innovative ideas so we can have a solution towards the challenges that are all surrounding us. And remembering in 2020, where we all experienced pandemic, and to me, I took it very personal as an entrepreneur to see what is the challenge behind in our education systems in Africa. And as you know that there was a gap that created African students and other students in the developed countries compared to developing countries whereby majority lie in our continent, Africa. So I took it as an opportunity to begin a school that will be digitalized in terms of we have a program that connects a student, a teacher, and a parent. And that system is used as a communication system that can operate the school. But above all, with the presence of the students in school, we have this system so that it can back us up during crisis, like what just happened here now with the coronavirus. Coming to the next slide, I would like also to talk about the challenges facing young entrepreneurs in Africa. Being in a business environment ever since I was 17 years old, these challenges, I personally came across them, and I know that my fellow youth Africa, in some way or another, they also face such challenges. To begin with, financial constraints. Most of our availability of accessing loans and funding opportunities become so limited in a way that we have to limit our dreams and our missions in one way or the other. I personally, before beginning business in education, I started as, I had a shop that I was running, and I remember 4 years ago, I wanted to expand my business, but I couldn't because they asked me for the things that I didn't require, like security. They wanted to have property to them as security so that they can offer me the loan, but also other bureaucratic procedures that, as to begin with, as an entrepreneur, it is very challenging. We all know that. But again, another challenge that we youth in Africa is to lack of capacity development as entrepreneur. I mean, the mentorship and the training. We all get this training and mentorship through the environment itself, but if we can come across with people who are ready to invest as much as we believe in ourselves, in our dreams, I think it could have been one of the ways to take us further to reach our goals and dreams. Also, trust issues between entrepreneurs and financial institution in Africa, in most cases in developing countries, it's cumbersome in terms of there are so many restrictions and that are developed in a way that we cannot accomplish our business environment to excel in the businesses that we deal with every day. Also, stigmatization against young female entrepreneurs. With all that we understand that our community, they don't understand that the space that we're trying to create for a girl child to gain the right education, to gain the right places and environment to excel on what they believe. So most of the time, I personally even came to challenges wanting to partner with people, but just because I'm a female, just because I'm a girl, they don't believe that I could actually succeed in everything that I want to succeed to. So stigmatization is a big challenge, and I hope my fellow youth, we can come together and stand against this, because there's so many young girls with so many potential out there, but they can't reach because of not being accepted because of their gender. But the last and the most painful thing as an entrepreneur growing and in this field is the corruption rate in our continent is extremely very high. And in this case, it comes even into the financial institution itself, the scenarios of bribing 10% of the loan that's been initiated for us to start businesses. It doesn't make sense at all, because as we are trying to expand and grow, but again, we have to pay some people, not everybody, of course, and faithful workers, so that they can process the loan for us very quickly, so in order to do our daily businesses. This is very sad, because it does not help in any way or another. Coming to the next slide. Adapting to the new digital economy in the context of COVID-19. How is Asante Digital prepared in contribution? On behalf of the school and on behalf of the school leadership, we are coming together to create a future that knows the use of digital and the use of information and technology, because the world that we're heading is a very competitive world, and we need a prepared generation with the source and the right materials so that they can establish whatever they want to do using digital formats. But apart from that, we want to train this young coming great generation that they can believe in their dreams through their talents, but in their dreams through their talents, and also use their talents as source of their financial freedom. As we can see, most successful football players around the world, they are trained, they have developed a system, a good grounds that they can grow and learn in a very wide way. And next slide, please. Probably you'll be wondering, why should we educate children through digital schools? First and foremost, it personalizes the learning. Everybody has different views in terms of adapting to the learning ways, but we believe that having the platform where the children can access the information on their field from wherever around the world, it can personalize their learning and making them grow into the areas that they want to grow through. Making students self-motivated through the programs that we have, because we can easily interact a student from Tanzania to a student of in South Africa or in Zambia. So it becomes a globalized learning platform from everybody, so we can exchange ideas. But also expanding learning opportunities, as I said before, as today we are all in this platform because of digital means. So I'm expanding, we create more opportunities to expand information and education and higher engagement rate. As we all know, any child right now, if they can adapt understanding that seeing electronic device is a device of education, it's an educational tool. So adapting that at a young age, we can make these children become a better future and solution savers for our continent in the near future. The next slide, please.
We have 2 minutes,
yes.
Jessica.
Okay, as I take this to a conclusion, I have a closing statement. Apart from engaging on entrepreneurship issues, but I'm also involved in social development issues through CSR, corporate social responsibility, where I have also initiated an organization called Nakua na Taifa Langu, which means growing with my nation, empowering youth, women and girls. Moreover, I'm also a musician, and I would wish if your excellencies permit to me compose a song on agenda of 2063 and Africa development at large. Thank you so much. Obrigado. Asante. Merci.
Obrigada. Asante, Jessica. We're actually going to take you on that. Can you sing as well? So you write the song and sing it for us as well. We're looking forward to that production. But before I let you go, Jessica, you said something quite vital, and I just want you to put your closing statement to the youth here. You mentioned that as an entrepreneur, you have challenges of stigmatization and corruption. So we are hurting ourselves as Africans. So what is your action point? What is your plea to your fellow Africans and youth here today to put an end to the stigmatization and corruption?
I think my calling to the youth of Africa, we should set good examples. It begins with us. So if we are ready to fight against corruption, we should be ready to also spot where we see injustice is being done. We should have voices to speak on behalf of the people that can't speak for themselves. So I would like for us to begin wherever we are, starting from our families. When we spot this stigmatizations and the corruption level to the corporate institutions, wherever, but it should begin with us. It should begin from at home. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It begins at home. So to everyone, also do not contribute to it. Don't be paying for bribes and paying for things behind the corner. So thank you for that, Jessica. Let me quickly check if Nebo is ready. Do we have sound for Nebo?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, finally. That's wonderful. Thank you, Nebo. Let's go ahead to your talk, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Your Excellency, Dr. Mayaki, the CEO of African Union Development Agency. Excellency, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, distinguished panelists and participants. My name is Nebo Obinna Collins. I'm from Nigeria. I'm the Executive Director of New Century Initiative, a youth development organization based in Nigeria, and Self-Consult. I want to my topic is going to be on youth mobilization for social development. In this topic, we are going to highlight issues on the development definition of a youth in Africa, understanding what is social mobilization and youth mobilization, some useful social development projects led by the youth in Africa, factors challenging effective youth mobilization for social development in Africa, and identify the solutions to factors challenging youth mobilization in Africa. Youth mobilization for development in Africa. So I will start with who does Africans see as youth? According to the African Youth Charter, a youth is a human being, either male or female, under the age bracket of 15 to 35. So by that virtue, people within that age bracket are classified as youth. And secondly, according to Mo Ibrahim Foundation article, it said that people below 30 years made up 60% of the total population here in Africa. So by that virtue, we can also say that Africa is a youthful continent. Going further to discuss social mobilization. What is social mobilization? If you look at the definitions that we articulated here, they say that social mobilization is a process of bringing together all societal and professional influences to raise awareness of and demand for healthcare assist in delivering of resources and services, cultivate sustainable individual and community involvement. That's according to World Health Organization. Moving further, we also have to understand the differences between social mobilization and youth mobilization. If we move further, we understand that youth mobilization is when young people rally in their networks across boards to mobilize others to work together to accomplish civic and political goals. Opportunities for youth to mobilize others to also have expanded significantly in this digital age. Now, what we mean by having opportunity that has expanded in this digital age is because of the use of information communication technology, which has made it easier for young people to mobilize, led in Africa. There is this program, there is this campaign that happened. It's called Reform Police, NSAS. So the NSAS campaign was a protest that started online about police brutality, police intimidation against young people in Nigeria. And the NSAS protest through the digital platforms, young people were able to mobilize themselves across boards in all the regions and the 36 states that made up Nigeria to join this campaign. And young people are speaking in one voice and also making one demand that government should reform the police force. Then secondly, we also have the Save Not Too Young to Run campaign. The Not Too Young to Run campaign is a campaign demanding for age reduction for elective positions. In Nigeria, we understood that if you are 18 years and above, you are eligible to vote. Please, can you take the slide back, please? If you are 18 years and above, you're able to vote. But if you are 18 years, you cannot run for public offices. So certain public offices are for people within the age bracket of 30 and above. Whereas we have young people who are at the age of 20s, who are age of 18, that have their degrees and also are successful in private sector businesses and individual businesses. So we now had to engage the Nigerian Parliament to save the Not Too Young to Run bill. So we organized young people from different parts of Nigeria and across different networks to come together to mobilize and demand for Nigerian government to save the Not Too Young to Run bill and run an inclusive democratic society. So another issue that challenged young people also took as a successful mobilization for social development is the Follow the Money campaign. Follow the Money is an accountability project, which I'm also part of. This project is a project that focuses on demanding for public project accountability. We know that corruption is very prevalent in certain communities in Africa. So we used Follow the Money as a strategy to get our leaders accountable to deliver on public service. So Follow the Money also has to track government budget, government public project sites, public project allocations, and money disbursement to public facilities. And it's a youth-led initiative. We have a couple of challenges, factors that affect youth mobilization for social development. First of all is the political interference. Whenever young people mobilize themselves to pursue a youth
Are you still there, Nebo? Okay. It sounds like we have lost him, but he was probably wrapping up. We had a minute to go there. So thank you for that, Nebo, mobilizing the youth. You say a very valid point that at 18, you're old enough to vote, but not old enough to go into parliament. I must say it's slowly changing. In Botswana, we had a minister, although she's no longer a minister, but at 30, she was the Minister of Trade and did wonderful things in that position. So we hope to see more of that on our continent, some youth playing spaces in the political and business world. So let's move on, please, to our next speaker. In fact, we have some entertainment for you. Remember, we said 2021 is a celebration of culture, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So we're going to take a very short little break with a musical performance from one of our very own artists. His name is Kelvin Chikumbirike from Zimbabwe. He is a percussionist. He also makes musical instruments. He has a band with his children, and I hope you'll enjoy his performance that will play for you shortly. So take him kindly assist to play the video. Kelvin, we just need you to unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Okay. going to play the next song. It's called Dubelaga Pirama Way from Gonya. Okay. Okay, I hope you still got more time.
Calvin. That is wonderful. Don't worry. We have more time for you to do songs with your beautiful little girl. So thank you so much for that. She plays at, what is it called? Much better than I could. So one thing I need to mention to everyone, Calvin makes his own instruments as well. So everything he's playing there, he manufactures it in-house. So we are going to hear from Calvin some more. He's not done. He's just giving you a short snippet of what's coming. So we'll come back to you shortly, Calvin. Thank you. All right, so you have heard from people from innovation, you've heard from the entrepreneurs, you've heard from the artists. So we're going to turn our attention now to heritage. And to speak to heritage and technology, we've got 3 speakers that are coming up. I'll introduce the first one, Nana Ajwa Asante from Ghana. She is the director of the National Folklore Board in the country. She will speak to us about how we are preserving culture and heritage through folklore. So I won't take much of her time. Nana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, over to you. You have our attention.
All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. As has been said, I'm speaking about how we can preserve our culture and heritage through folklore. A lot of people ask, what is folklore? And most people think that folklore means folktales. But folklore actually refers to ways in which we express our culture. And our host did say that one of her lecturers told her that culture is how we behave or the way things are around here. So then it means what's folklore and what's culture? What's the difference? What's the need for 2 different words? So I like to use an analogy. We have love, and then we have the ways in which we express our love for someone. So folklore is the way in which you express your culture. So the way in which you demonstrate your culture is folklore. So what we wear, how we even speak, what we eat, how we communicate, it's all our folklore. Those are the ways in which we demonstrate the abstract concept of culture. So we can move to the next slide. There are so many economic treasures of folklore, and there has been a UNESCO-backed study which indicated that in 2013, $2,250 billion was made in revenue and 29.5 million jobs created through the creative and cultural industries. Unfortunately, only 3% of this huge number was created or contributed by Africa and even the Middle East. So it's woefully inadequate, and it shows that there is the capacity for more. And that's a business opportunity for us as youth. There's so much opportunity. Unlike other parts of the world, we have not plateaued when it comes to our creativity and using our culture to express our creativity and to showcase our innovation. So there's so much, and Africa, I dare say, is the most diverse continent in the world. So there's so much for us to do, and there's so much opportunities that we, as the youth, can grasp and make money out of and sustainably develop our continent together. So we come to commercial exploitation of Ghanaian folklore. These are some of the examples. I think somebody is not muted, so I can hear some music in the background.
Just a second, Nana. Let's just... Linda, please mute Kelvin.
Yes, so there's some, we put some images here for you to understand the need for us to protect what is ours and to promote it. Because even if you do not promote it, somebody will do it for you and it might be exploited. And with what our forefathers and mothers left behind for us, it is only good and it's only fair that we benefit from it as a continent. And when I say as a continent, I also mean as individual countries. As I like to say that, yes, we are similar, but we're also diverse. So I like to refer to us as Africa as a continent, but I also like to say I am a Ghanaian, so that you understand that there is diversity. There is the beauty in the diversity that abounds on our beautiful continent. So you see Louis Vuitton, that's the most recent. There was a fashion show and it was part of their line. That is our beautiful kente cloth, the beautiful Ghanaian kente cloth. You can also see the kente cloth, which has been printed. Now, textile companies in China have been printing this cloth. Then we have the beautiful sandals there. The sandals are the traditional sandals worn by our chiefs. And these sandals are being sold for in excess of $1,500 by Valentino Garavani. When in Ghana, it costs, you can get some that costs less than, let me put it in dollars so you get the clarity, less than $10. So these are your cultural designs, our intellectual property as a people, which is being showcased to the world, which we are happy about, but we need to benefit from it. And then the world famous movie, the Black Panther movie, where I think there were symbols from different parts of the continent. But of course, I'm speaking for Ghana. So you see our beautiful kente, that's T'Challa, that's his character in the movie, adorned. So these are all ways in which our culture is being used, but it's being commercially used. And as such, there is the need for us as Ghanaians and as Africans to benefit from it as a people, because money is being made using our cultural elements, using our folklore. But it's not all grim. So using one other example in Africa is the exploitation, the misrepresentation of our folklore. And these are two examples. So in the movie, the series, Sleepy Hollow, that I'm sure most of you have heard about, the characters used where there was an incantation referring to Anansi as a god. But Anansi in our, he is a folk character in our local parlance. Because of time, I'll just move on. We also have the concept of Hakuna Matata. I'm sure those who speak Swahili can tell us what it means. What's in my simple terms, and from watching Lion King, it means no worries. And unfortunately, Disney has copyrighted Hakuna Matata. So in certain circumstances, you need permission from Disney to use a word that is yours, that is for the Swahili-speaking countries, which is quite unfortunate. And I met with the head of the copyright office in Kenya, and they're doing something about it. But we need to protect what is ours and promote what is ours so that the world knows it's ours, so that these things do not even happen before we try to rectify them. There are some success stories. Ethiopia has been able to patent its coffee, and now for every coffee bean that makes it to the shores of America, that particularly is used by Starbucks, the poor farmer in Ethiopia benefits. With the Maasai clause too, they've been able to sign certain agreements with certain fashion brands, and they signed a non-disclosure agreement, so we don't know the content of the contract. But what we know is that they've been also able to successfully protect what is theirs. So now we come to the National Folklore Board, which is on the next slide. Our duty in simple terms, our mandate, is to promote and protect our folklore. So protection to avoid the exploitation of our folklore, and to avoid our heritage being commercially exploited without us as a people benefiting, and then to promote it and preserve it. You can tell that with protection and promotion comes preservation, because you ensure that it is the right way in which it was handed down to us is what is done. And then to go further, you promote it so that people continue to know about it. So our mandate in simple terms is preservation, which you can divide into promotion and protection. Okay, so we go to the next slide. I won't talk much about what we've done. I'm hoping that the slides will be shared so that everyone can see what we've done. So we'll just go through the pictures since there's not much time. But the most important thing that I think is worth mentioning so that all of us realize that it is possible is that we actually have corresponded with the producers of the Black Panther movie, and we have received some positive feedback. It's not what we're looking for. They have acknowledged that there was the need to acknowledge the use of our kente in the movie, but we wanted to go further. We think that we can collaborate to have maybe 20, even just 20 Ghanaian youth visit the Marvel Studios for an internship program. We can have collaborations where they help us to also produce movies based on our local folk characters. And this is the kind of collaboration that we are looking to. And going further, I've been informed, I won't mention the name of the company, but I know that there are very big multinationals that have been contacting youth on our continent to provide stories for their movies. I'm a lawyer by profession, so I would also like to advise all of us as young people, when you are given a contract by a multinational, especially when you are the smaller fish, please get a lawyer. I know you say we as lawyers are expensive, but it is better safe than sorry. What you can do is also get a friend who is at least studying law, so you can get the person to go through the contract and make sure that you're not being exploited. But more importantly, that the continent is also not being exploited. So don't share information, don't share things that have been passed down from generation to generation hastily, and then you get a pittance from it, because what we have as a continent is very valuable, and we need to see the value in what we have, and we need to position ourselves and brand ourselves to be able to benefit immensely from this. And as you can tell, now there's a trooping to Africa for ideas, because as I said, the rest of the world has almost plateaued. Now we have the potential, we have the ideas, we have the new, fresh, unexplored territories that also provide business interests. So it's a wonderful time to be an African. I know we have so many challenges which previous speakers have echoed, but it's also a wonderful time to be a youth and to be an African, because the future is exciting. So let's run through the next slides, just pictures of what we've done. So we have folklore.
2 minutes, Nana.
Yeah, so let's just run through the pictures. We have animation of our folk tales. We have folklore classes. In the COVID-19 era, what we did was if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So we moved the folklore classes in our schools to virtual folklore classes. We also have Proverbs Sunday. So kindly, let's just move through the pictures. Yes, so we have the World Folklore Day. We have Did You Know series, and then animation of folk tales. So these are ways in which we turn our folk tales into cartoons and people learn about our folklore. We also have the Did You Know series, which is snippets of information about interesting parts of our culture. Then we have also partnered with MTN to digitize our folklore. So this year, that's an exciting project that we seek to do that is going to help us to further preserve our cultural heritage. Kindly, let's move to the last but one slide so I can conclude. So that's the Did You Know series and the MTN partnership. We have some key projects for 2021, but I would like to end by saying that the folkloric future is exciting. I think the theme for this year is for good reason. I think in everything you do, as I like to call it, being a folkpreneur, in everything you do as a young person, be an ambassador of your culture. Showcase your heritage. Even if it's your company logo, why not use something peculiar to your culture? When somebody looks at your logo, they will ask you, what does it mean? And it gives you an opportunity to educate someone about your culture. And that's even part of the preservation. There are economic treasures and business opportunities in becoming a folkpreneur. That's a term I've coined myself, a folklore entrepreneur. And then I think that our the sponsors and the partner organizations can look at dedicating some funding to culture-centered projects for this year particularly. As I said, the challenges are many. I won't echo that, but I want to talk about the opportunities that we have as a young people. And as I said, when life gives us lemons, which we have so many challenges, let's make lemonade. And a mentor of mine added, let's also learn to use the zest and use the seeds of the lemons. So I'll conclude by saying, as is on the poster that was used, that Africa Day is a reminder of the diversity, yet similarities we share as a continent, and how to collectively harness our wealth to sustainably develop as a continent. Medase. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Nana. Thank you for that. I absolutely agree with you, and I hope you'll be proud of me. This is Kente.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yes, this necklace is from Nigeria. So my mother worked in Nigeria for a long time. So I made it a point that every African country I visit to pick up something from there. So I hope you won't be sending me a bill for using Kente material.
No, when you use it personally, no bill. So continue to use it personally. It's when you're commercially using it that you need permission.
Yes. Thank you so much. So that was quite informative, and I hope all of you have learned a thing or two. So you shouldn't be hasty to share your folklore, because one challenge that we have in Africa is that our stories are not documented. Yes, it's getting better now, but there's still a lot that is undiscovered. So don't be quick to just dish it out. Back yourself up with some legal protection and protect our IP. Let's own our goods and let's be proud of them and not allow them to be exploited. So thank you for that. I must tell everyone that all the presentations that you're seeing today will be available. So you're able to read it at your own pace. And also the video from this entire proceeding will be available on NEPAD's YouTube channel. So don't feel like you need to capture everything right now. We will share the proceedings after this. Okay, so we will now move on to our next speaker. So we're going into the digital space now, and how different Africans from Rwanda, South Africa, Kenya are playing in the digital space. So I'll call Yusuf Ntwali, who is the co-founder and the COO of Ag Innovation Limited in Rwanda. He's going to share with us how their company is making a difference through technology and the digital space. And we also hope you can gain some inspiration and a few learning points from Yusuf. So Yusuf, karibu sana. Let's see if we can see and hear you. Yusuf?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Great, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And yeah, thank you so much for a great hosting. Awesome. So my name is Yusuf, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Bag Innovation, based here in Kigali, Rwanda. So I'm going to be taking you through a presentation about what Bag Innovation is doing here in Rwanda, but also some of our goals of how we want to prepare Africa's future workforce. It's been interesting to hear from all the different speakers talk about some of the things, some of the challenges, some of the solutions that they're building for young people in Africa. We at Bag Innovation believe that youth unemployment has to be solved. It's one of the most pressing issues, and we've built solutions to be able to solve this. So as I mentioned, the company is called Bag, and it's in Kigali, Rwanda. So I would like, maybe if you could go to the next slide. Next slide, please.
Benita, if we can move to the next slide.
Previous slide. Previous. Awesome. That's perfect. Great. So everybody meets Uwase. Uwase is in her final year of university and looking forward to graduating next year. She's one of over 100,000 students enrolled in the university in Rwanda and one of over 4 million in East Africa. During university, she's struggling to find internships and with potential employers where she can apply her classroom learning into practical skills. Without practical and relevant experience, she becomes unprepared for the job market in the eyes of the employers. A study shows that in East Africa, it takes about 5 years on average for a graduate to secure employment. And when graduates do secure employment, it takes even longer for them to be able to be promoted to a higher position. And this, if you combine all of this, it generates over 700 of lost opportunity per student in Rwanda. Next slide, please. Awesome. So this is mainly due to university curricula being outdated. In Rwanda, it takes about 5 years for the government to revise the education curriculum. With the job market rapidly growing and businesses requiring new set of skills in employees, this results in students graduating without relevant skills and struggling to get jobs and businesses facing long and expensive entry-level hiring processes. Next slide. Over the last 4 years, we've been testing and trying different solutions to be able to solve this problem. We tried student consulting, where we basically went to the businesses in Rwanda, tried to get some of the biggest challenges they're facing, providing them to young people so they can try and solve these challenges and gain the practical experience they're facing. Realized this was not a scalable business model. We pivoted into a talent placement company, offering solutions to be able to help companies hire the best talents in the country. And it was only after the last 2 years that we eventually pivoted into a digital platform, or EdTech, as we all know it. So our current solution is called BAG, a digital platform for university students. This platform really focuses on offering experience-based learning opportunities using gamification to support the career development and job readiness of Africa's future workforce. How do we do this? Next slide. We basically analyze the employer skills need and translate them into short assessments, each representing requirements from the employer on both the technical and the soft skill side that in return test the user's ability to work with that specific company. Traditionally, employers can only take on 2 to 3 interns per year, but with a BAG solution, employers can now, with no extra effort, transfer work-life experience from their company to thousands of students at the same time. Next slide. On the student side, the student signs up into the platform and select the sector of interest connected to their university major. They choose a local company they would like to work with. They work on short assessment provided by the employer. Then they receive a rating, professional feedback, and career advice from both the employer and BAG. That is, but at the end of their journey, it's saved on their talent profile that could potentially substitute the traditional CV, because we believe that the traditional CV does not really show the young person who's looking for a job their full potential. And with the talent profile, we're able to solve this problem for employers, but also make sure that we're actually showcasing what young people are good at to the employers. Next slide. For the universities, our platform really helps them to digitize their career development centers, increase their post-graduation employment, university ranking, as well as the reputation and enrollment. We've seen that mostly the public universities in countries like Rwanda and other different African countries, the students are facing a lot of challenges because some of the universities, the teachers are underpaid, the universities are understaffed, and there's a lack of connection with what is happening on the job market. So you realize that a young person goes through 5 years of education. By the time they graduate, they're still not relevant for the job market. And one could ask themselves, why are you actually going through university if at the end of a university, you're still not going to get a job? So our platform is really here to really support the universities by bringing in the relevancy into the market. Next slide, yes. The business model is very simple. We really support businesses, students, and universities with subscription models. So the platform is used for, free of charge for the students, but also we're trying to integrate different subscription models where we're able to onboard large amounts of users on the freemium model, but also still offer premium subscription to be able to maintain our business model. So next slide, please. And this is where it gets exciting. We've seen that career development, education, and e-learning is really not attractive for young people. Young people are looking for instant gratification. They want to see results now. So integrating a concept like gamification is very interesting in education because it really helps in increasing the retention, conversion, and engagement of the student on a weekly basis. 2 years ago, we partnered with one of the creators of the famous mobile game Candy Crush to integrate this technology with our platform. So we're able to make sure that students are earning points, upgrading in levels, and are having an enjoyable experience while working on their skills development. Next slide, please. We do realize that there are various different competitors and people who are doing amazing work in the recruitment, career development, and e-learning sector. But BAG really distincts itself by being the first to market and target the students in their first year of study. And we've proven that if a student uses the BAG platform 2 years before graduation, we can increase their collective market readiness and make sure that they are ready for the job markets by the time they graduate. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, youth unemployment is huge in Africa. And over the last 4 years, we've been able to connect with over 8% of the student market in Rwanda. And our goal is to pass to 30% by the end of next year. Our initial target market is in East Africa, which alone has more than 2 million students, but also we're looking at Africa as a whole market to be able to implement our technology as well. Next slide, please. Since we've started, we've been able to raise over $230,000 in investment to be able to build our technology and really test out the market in Rwanda and make sure that we are building a solution that really works for the market. We've been able to connect, as I mentioned, 8% of the student market, collaborate with over 200 businesses, providing them with various different solutions and connecting young people to these companies, having placed over 600 young people into income generating opportunities using our model, but also at the same time collaborating with universities to be able to implement our technology. We've been able to recognize as one of the best education technology in the region by several different organizations, which we are proud of. And we believe that these recognition really help us to boost our brand, but also continue the amazing impact that myself and my team are doing in Rwanda. Speaking about impacts, next slide, please. Our impact really lies in helping the African youth find secure employment opportunities, increase their job readiness score, but also improve confidence during the job search, but also at the same time decreases the skills gap that is happening here in the market. Next slide. Obviously, we can't do this. I can't do this by myself. I have an amazing team of people who are talented, young people who are talented and ready to solve this problem. We have gamification experts, we have career development experts and capacity building specialists on our team who've worked with some of the top organizations in the region and have a combined years of 20 years of experience in the education sector and who are ready to solve this massive problem. Next slide. As you can see, this is one of our testimonies from one of the BAG success stories. And really, BAG stands for building a generation. Our goal is to build a generation of problem solvers, critical thinkers who are ready to take on their next step in their career. Thank you very much.
Wow, Yusuf, I'm having goosebumps. You're actually being quite humble at what you've presented here. It's absolutely phenomenal. You really should be screaming and having your whole team here and talking about these massive achievements. No, I'm not even joking. This is crazy. Over 60% improvement in job placements. We struggle with unemployment in the continent. They talk about it in the news all the time. You have managed to improve people's chances by 60% in Rwanda. You've placed successfully over 600 people. So taken 600 people out of that unemployment bracket. Well done, really. It's remarkable. But before we let you go, I want you to tell us the truth, Yusuf. What inspired you to do this? Did you have any struggles or challenges trying to get into the working environment? What was the inspiration behind BAG personally?
Yes, so as I mentioned, the company started by myself and my co-founder, Gabriel, who wasn't able to be here. But Gabriel is from Sweden, but based here in Rwanda. I'm Rwandan, Congolese Rwandan. But yeah, so we basically met about 4 years ago, where we were identifying some of the business opportunities to start in Rwanda. And one of the biggest, we started talking to different entrepreneurs and trying to figure out what are the challenges to starting a successful business in Rwanda or any parts of Africa. And one of the top things that they kept mentioning was not maybe lack of access to capital, but it was the lack of access to skilled employees, right? A lot of them were struggling to find entry-level talents to be able to hire who can work with their companies and take their companies to the next step. So basically, we started by really being curious about why is this problem happening in Africa? Is the education system bad? What is the problem here? So we started engaging in different conversations, interviews with young people themselves, job seekers, but also going to the educators themselves and saying, what is happening? Why is this gap happening in the market? And what are you doing to kind of solve this? What we quickly realized is that the education sector is really under funded. I would say it's not well funded. So a lot of young people are not getting the best education that they can get from the best teachers, but also at the same time accessing the right tools to understand what is happening on the market. So these challenges really inspired us. We started looking at different markets and what are they doing? Why is a student from Harvard better than a student who's studying at the University of Rwanda? What is happening here? And we really started realizing that the problem was the lack of integration or the lack of information about what is happening on the job market. Students are going through school, but they do not understand what actual companies are looking for. So case studies, introducing case studies was one of the biggest successes for universities such as Harvard, but why are we not doing that here in Rwanda? Integrating internships, making internships mandatory, but not just internships where people go and grab coffee and print papers, but internships where people are actually challenged, are given real responsibilities so they can actually apply what they're learning in theory and in terms of practice. So a lot of those findings really inspired us to create Bag Innovation to where we are right now.
Thank you. So I'll give you a challenge. Bag Innovation Africa. So we place more people from across the continent and help more of our graduates succeed in the work market. I must say, I'm a bit biased. I'm from Wits University. We are also trying that. We also do case studies and try and prepare students for the workplace. But thank you so much, Yusuf. So well done. Let's move on to our next speaker. His name is Irvik Flantis. I hope I got that right, Irvik. He's from the African Coding Network, and they cover South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. He's based in South Africa currently. So he will be speaking to us about how we can equip African youth with digital skills. So some practical elements of how to help ourselves with some digital skills. So Irvik, over to you. You have our full attention.
Okay, thank you so much. Is it okay that I share my screen? I just do that quick. Okay. Cool. So you should. Great. So you should be seeing my screen now. So I thought I would try something a bit different, a bit interesting, as opposed to just giving you the pitch of what we do. Thought I'd try and make it a bit informative, make the case for equipping African youth with digital skills, and specifically looking at the tech sector. So yeah, to make it a bit educational, a bit interesting. And I've done this through a series of small drawings, and I'm going to use a metaphor. So it's going to potentially be oversimplified for such a complex topic as tech education in Africa, but I hope it helps to simplify things and make a good sort of mental model in your head. So before I dive in, my name is Warwick. I am from the African Coding Network and Amuzi. Amuzi is a coding school based in South Africa, and the African Coding Network is our initiative to try scale our impact. So in South Africa, we we train young people in tech and digital skills. We place them in the predominantly corporate sector, where they practice coding and they contribute to corporates. And there we have quite a successful business. We're proud to have almost 700 alumni now, of which 80% of people who finish our course get a job. And they're competing sort of with your graduate level computer scientists. So yeah, so the African Coding Network is our attempt to scale what we're doing there. And yeah, we've won a few small prizes, being acknowledged for some work, and obviously one important one is by the African Union and the African Education Innovation Expo. So let's dive into it. Let me make the case for tech education. I've represented two sort of actors on my screen. The first is Africa's youth. And we know that Africa's youth, there are many of us and expected to rapidly grow. So by 2050, that number is expected to double. And at the same time, Africa youth contributes or is 60% of Africa's unemployed are youth. So that's one story to tell, and something obviously that's been a theme here, and something youth unemployment and what to do with Africa's growing youth or how to tap into it is a big question. But at the same time, there's Africa's tech sector, which is rapidly growing. And this is just in general, tech is growing. As you know, COVID-19, here we are doing this conference through Zoom. But there's also Africa's rapid digitalization. So Africa as a market for tech is also rapidly growing. So tech in of itself in Africa is a very quickly and rapidly growing sector. So in 2018-19, there was 45% increase of international investment into tech sectors. So I guess so those two characters that I've put up here, Africa's youth and Africa's tech sector, the equation seems pretty simple, right? We've got to get Africa's youth into Africa's tech sector. And that's sort of what we're trying to do. So how do we do this? Well, we plug Africa's youth into the tech sector. And the current mediums that is happening is there's universities, there's online learning, and there are coding schools. However, there's a bit of a dark side to tech, is tech accentuates inequalities. So this existing plug that I've indicated, that's plugging Africa's youth into the tech sector, favors the fortunate. So the tech sector is highly unequal in terms of gender. In South Africa, a recent study showed 10% of developers are female. And in Nigeria, 7% of management in tech firms are female. It also favors the wealthy, so those who can afford the education. It favors those with connectivity, which is a massive problem across Africa. It favors those in urban environments, and it favors locals. So there's a lot of youth movement across Africa, in and around Africa, and the tech sector is favoring the locals. So another challenge is that even though these channels exist, universities and online learning and coding schools, the tech sector grows so quickly. So here I've indicated the newer model. So my first drawing there was an old iPhone, but then the new iPhone comes along. And this is just a very basic representation of the rapidness that tech grows and is growing in in Africa, sorry. And our existing pathways to get youth into these are too slow. So universities are too few. As mentioned in the last presentation, they update their curriculums very slowly. Tech changes far too quickly. Online learning, the completion rate is very low. And coding schools, although promising, are too distributed, and their quality varies and their consistency is, they're too new on the market in the ed space to be recognized by corporates as a real alternative to something like university. So if we don't take advantage of this, if these existing pathways to get youth into tech sectors don't improve, what happens is Africa loses a huge amount of economic value. So here I've indicated this rapidly growing tech sector needs its tech skills, and it'll go looking elsewhere. So this might be India or China or America, where Africa doesn't take or capture the economic value of the growing tech sector, which is a real loss. So this is really an urgent thing. So now our proposed solution kind of replaces that old charging cable with something new, something modern, something driven by technology. And I've indicated this as one of those fancy charging pads that are now a thing. So yeah, this is what we're calling the African Coding Network, which is, it's a technology-driven innovation. It creates shared value creation and multi-stakeholder. It helps the youth from end to end. So that's learning about a tech career and then getting their promotion in their tech career. So really focusing on the full user journey. And then this whole model is built in a sense of abundance culture. So we are a nonprofit, and we do believe that if we share the winnings of such a thing, it's, if the tech sector, if we capture that economic growth, it's valuable for everyone. So if we work together to do that. So the three ways we're doing this, the first is we're increasing access to that tech career, but importantly, I put the word in there, equal. So supporting more youth into tech, but focused on these marginalized communities that I mentioned. So if you're a woman out there and you're listening to this, consider tech as a real opportunity for a career. So that's the first thing. The second part, now I've indicated, is an increased learning pathways. And this, instead of that one heavy, slow cable that was transmitting information, we've now got this fancy charging thing, and there are multiple pathways that someone can get into tech sector. And the way we do this is by creating a network of coding schools. So just like the one I represent in South Africa, MUSI, bringing these coding schools that are all over Africa, who are doing really great things and training young people in tech skills, bringing them into a network, and then sharing centrally managed resources. So we don't all need to build our own curriculums. We don't all need to build our own learner management systems or whatever it might be. There's shared stuff. And as I said, back into that abundance culture, if we share what we have, we can really unlock a lot of scale. The last thing that we're helping with is increasing access to careers. And in this case, the African Coding Network creates a network of employer partners so that the individual coding school doesn't have to actively go and try to place their young people in jobs. As I said, MUSI has an 80% success rate, but that's due to a huge amount of effort and relationship building. And that's a centrally managed resource we think we can create. And that's linking young people to economic opportunity, be it local, global, or entrepreneurship. So in summary,
2 minutes.
Great. So yeah, in summary, the African Coding Network aims to support youth in selecting these quality learning to earning pathways. So those are the pathways that are most likely to lead you to an in-demand career, and tech is that in-demand thing at the moment. We then help the young person train in those in-demand skills, those skills that are necessary, the skills that the workforce is looking for, making sure those are up to date and relevant skills. And the last thing is accelerating those tech careers into those economic opportunities. So if you're a youth and you're listening to this, where to begin? Well, you can check out the website, the African Coding Network. We've got a current challenge on the go in partnership with Grow with Google and UNICEF, which is focused on women in tech. But we look to find these opportunities so youth can show us what you've got. You can take the aptitude test. If you're a coding school and you want to learn more about the EdTech platform and those centralized shared resources, you can check that out there. And if you are an employer, maybe you can find your next African hire with us through our employer network. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent. I'm quite excited about what you're doing and the way that you look at it. You say that you operate in a mind of abundance, and there's actually more than enough for everyone to go around. It's just the limitations that we have now with some people not having access to data, etc., etc. They're man-made, right? They should be enough for everyone to go around. So we really like where you're heading and the vision that you have for your tech solution, and also bringing the women and the youth aboard so that you can have more females that are operational in the space. I'm just going to put you on the spot and check if you have female ambassadors currently, whether it's in South Africa, Kenya, or Nigeria, if you have female ambassadors currently pushing the Women in Tech initiative.
Yes, so if you do look at the website, there is an EdTech solution that underpins all of this. And our CTO, so that's the Chief Technical Officer, her name is Sheena, and she's really drives the tech innovations that we have. So we're really proud that possibly the most important role as the organization is held by a female. Yeah, so inclusion is very important.
Great, well done to you and your team. And also you do have plans to expand throughout the continent, isn't it?
Yes, the partnership with the networks of youth and coding schools and employers are intended to go African-wide, but currently our footprint is in Kenya and Nigeria and South Africa, the three biggest tech hubs currently, but tech will be everywhere, if not now, very soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So that actually brings us to the end of the digital and technology space that we've been discussing. We've done heritage, we've done culture, we've done innovation and arts as well. So I know it's been a bit of a long afternoon, but it was quite important for you to see what people like you and me are doing throughout the continent. We are going to move to the closing session now, just to wrap up proceedings. But before we do that, we're going to take a very short interlude from the Ditakadu musical group in Soweto that opened for us today. So they're going to do a very short performance before we transition to the closing session. Let me check with Linda if we're ready. And the tech team, is it a video or a live performance? Benita?
Chair, it's a video. They're just sorting it out. Thank you.
Okay. I actually think maybe because we're slightly behind, you can continue having the video ready. We'll play it at the end. Let's move to the closing session whilst we still have everyone. So to conclude, give some closing remarks and a vote of thanks. I'd like to call Fatin Z. Hassan. She is the head of Human Capital and Institutions Development at the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. So Fatih, a few minutes to give your closing remarks and vote of thanks, please.
Thank you very much, Kera Tilowe, and good afternoon all. Before I start, I just need to say that I'm wearing a cloth that is specific to the Tuareg people in the Sahel region and also in the Northern Africa. And this is a very expensive cloth. As you may see, it is glowing. And it's only worn on very special occasions because, as you can see in my hands, the color comes off. Every time you put it, the color comes off. So you cannot wash it. So you can only wear it a few times before you actually have to toss it. It's absolutely useless after a few times. So we are very particular on occasions where we wear it. And for me, it was a great occasion. And I'm happy to be with you today and to celebrate the continent and the Africa we want. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to start my vote of thanks with a quote by President Kwame Nkrumah, one of the greatest leaders and one of our founding fathers. Start of quote. The task ahead is great indeed, and heavy is the responsibility. And yet, it is a noble and glorious challenge, a challenge which calls for the courage to dream, the courage to believe, the courage to dare, the courage to do, the courage to envision, the courage to fight, the courage to work, the courage to achieve the highest excellences and the fullest greatness of man. Dare we ask for more in life? End of quote. It is indeed a glorious challenge that we're all undertaking together, the one to create the Africa we want. But thanks to the energy displayed by the African people, of which we saw just a glimpse today, I think it is safe to say that we are on a good path. So I was asked to take the floor and give a vote of thanks on behalf of AUD and NEPAD. Kindly allow me to start with Her Excellency Sarah Ajwa, Commissioner. Thank you for your continuous support and guidance. And thank you also for gracing us with your presence today. Words cannot express our gratitude to receive bits of wisdom from you on any occasion. To His Excellency, Dr. Ibrahim Hassan Mayaki, or as you allow to call me, simply, Monsieur. As usual, you gave us a fresh perspective that complements very well the introduction remarks from our Commissioner. Your contribution to the African development, your support to the youth through the AUD and NEPAD, it belongs to history books. We are grateful for today and for your legacy as a leader. I may like to express our sincere thanks to representatives of our partner organizations for this event, the Southern Africa Youth Forum and the Center of African Philanthropy and Social Investments, and also the Wits Business School. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for African youth that have showcased their accomplishments and talents. Youth from Ghana, from Mali, from Nigeria, Rwanda, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. You are the concrete example of how the youth creates and supports art, promotes our culture and heritage, how youth innovates and set up the businesses that will allow them not only to sustain themselves, but also to create the jobs that will employ other youth. Yes, indeed, the future of Africa is in good hands. I also would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Mrs. Patience Masua of the Southern Africa Youth Forum, Country Director for Namibia. And obviously, I cannot thank enough our moderator, Mrs. Keratilowe Mogoti, Program Manager at the Wits Business School. And finally, our thanks go to the audience. You chose to be with us today. You chose to devote a bit of your time to stop and reflect together about the African Union and the dream of our founding leaders. We do hope you learned something today and that you did have a great time. To all, have a pleasant day further.
Thank you so much, Fati, and that is a beautiful cloth. I'm going to write to you to tell us where to get it. Absolutely stunning. So we are also going to receive a closing remarks from Southern Africa Youth Forum. So representing them today is Patience Masua. She's the country director for Namibia, and she'll give the closing remarks on behalf of our partner, Southern Africa Youth Forum. Patience, Ohanet.
Hi, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. If you could just confirm.
Yes, we can. We can.
Thank you very much. The representative of the African Union Commission, Prof. Sarah Ajwa, African Union Development Agency, NEPAD CEO, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, Ms. Fati Hassan, the head of Human Capital and Institutional Development at AUDA NEPAD, and the AUDA NEPAD team, Ms. Mohotsi, and the representatives of Wits Business School, the regional co-chairs of SAI of SADC, representatives of the SADC Youth Parliament, our panelists, artists, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my utmost honor to, on behalf of the Southern Africa Youth Forum, give the closing remarks on such an important event where we are celebrating who we are as Africans through the Africa Day. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for joining our program to commemorate Africa Day in partnership with the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, FITS Business School, and CAPSI. This year's theme, Arts, Culture, and Heritage, levers for building the Africa we want, places young people at the center of the agenda as they constitute the largest demographic in Africa. The young people as current and future leaders must be at the center of preserving African culture and heritage, and at the same time have adequate spaces for them to lead, to innovate, and to co-create solutions, to learn and to complement governments in building the Africa that we want. The Africa that we want is one that recognizes young people as leaders for transformation, that recognizes young people as stakeholders and stockholders in decision-making and developmental discourse. And the Africa we want is one that truly champions bread and butter issues. In 2020, SAI of SADC hosted the second SADC Youth Forum, which was attended by more than 2,000 young people and stakeholders. And at the center of the forum, there were discussions on Pan-Africanism and heritage. One of the key highlights by the youth through which was expressed in the declaration include the call by youth for Africa to embrace diversity, preserve Ubuntu, protect the rich heritage, and promote unity. Today's program has truly shown us that we can build the Africa we want through arts, culture, heritage, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We are truly a rich continent. Happy Africa Day to you all, and thank you very much to all of our stakeholders for joining us in building the Africa that we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye, Patience, and congratulations. Apparently you are the new addition to the parliament, so congratulations on your new role.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I just want to go back to what Nandi said. She encouraged all of us to seek out African art and support African artists. We're going to have a live performance from Calvin, who entertained us shortly earlier. So we're going to have a live performance, but I'm begging you not to leave. It's not over. We'll formally close when he finishes, but show your support to him. And let's watch his 10-minute performance together with his family. They have worked very hard to prepare this performance for you. So let's just see if Kelvin is ready. Kelvin, we're quite excited to listen to you again. Are you there, Kelvin?
Everyone, it's good to be back. This is Chikumbirike. The instrument that I'm going to play and show you is called Mbira. It's a unique instrument to Zimbabwe. And the song that we are going to start with is called Musharudziko. Okay. Thank you so much. That was Mbira from Zimbabwe, Africa. And the next song that we're going to play is called Wobaba in Zimbabwe, which just means, oh, Father. So we're just crying to the Lord, to the Father, when are the answers going to come back? Okay. Where and how are the answers going to come? Okay. It's called Nemam Sasa. It just means prepare. In everything that we do, you need to prepare. In everything that you ever do, you need to just make sure you are prepared so that you get better results. Okay. Thank you. And we are going to play our last song. And
you can play your last song. Are you able to do it in 2 minutes? Can you hear me, Kelvin? Just 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We are going to play Chantengure. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed the performance. Happy Africa Day to you all.
Happy Africa Day to you and your family and your beautiful daughter. Well done, Kelvin, for training them at a young age. So please tell her I look forward to watching her doing what you do in the next 10 years. Okay, my baby? 10 years, it will be you. Thank you so much, Kelvin. And thank you so much to everyone. We are done now. We thank you for your attendance. But most importantly, I really hope you all take something out from today's sessions. We spoke about culture, we spoke about heritage, we spoke about innovation, the importance of identifying who we are and placing ourselves on a global stage intelligently. Let people know what Africans are about. Let's change the narrative of who we are and take pride in our folklore, our languages, our food, our music, our attires. So go get yourself some African attire, get yourself some African food, support African artists, buy their music. I believe Kelvin has a YouTube channel where he even plays more music. So subscribe to the channel, watch these small little things like that. We are 1 billion on this continent. If we support each other, nothing can stop us, and will be completely indispensable. In America, there are only 300 million or whatever the case may be. We are 1 billion. So imagine what can come out of us if we work together and support each other. So thank you, everyone. I want to close with what Professor Sarah said. She quoted Thabo Mbeki, our former president's quote, where he said, Africa will prosper. We are born of the people of Africa, and Africa will prosper. It's up to you and me to make sure that we turn things around for this beautiful continent we call home. So good evening, good morning to those who are waking up. Have a lovely day ahead of you. The videos will be up, and to those who ask questions, we will send a formal response to everyone. Thank you. Kwaheri, yakuonana.